Welcome back, guys, and today I am really excited to get into this as something in the Air Blaster community within Nerf we have been waiting for a long time to have aftermarket tanks available. As most of you guys know, and from my comment section that I usually get up, is the most common question is, where can I get an XBZ tank from? And 9 out of 10 times I will tell everyone to browse your Nerf buy sell trade pages on Facebook, check out your local groups or your local marketplace, or Gumtree for us Australians is a great place to look for any blasters that are selling off second hand, because that's usually the best way to get them. And at this stage, the plastic tanks are starting to get old. There's only so much life a plastic tank will get out of it before they start becoming brittle and start to crack under the really high PSIs we try to punch out of them. So being the Air Blaster nerd that Spectre is, he has come up with the solution, which is the full METAL XBZ tanks, which are going to revolutionize Nerf, and I'm pretty sure cement the Air Blaster master race. So to kick things off, these were done in a limited quantity run. I think he did about 60 of them, and these were pretty much like a prototype run just to see if the concept would work, which it does amazingly. Now, these tanks will be available in the future. They're not available right now. As I said, these were the prototype run just to make sure everything's working smoothly and Spectre can get an idea of what the numbers are and what he can do in the future to possibly produce these a lot more commonly and frequently. So please do not pester him about these. They will be coming out soon, and if I get any more information about these when these release and the date when they possibly can come out, and I could give you a link so you could go buy them, those will be in the comments down below or in the description when that information comes to me. But at the moment, you're looking at maybe a couple months wait before we can do the next run of these. So just wait for a little bit. Maybe one of these may pop up on a buy sell trade page near you in Australia. At the moment, there's only one out of Australia, and Hawkeye 007 has that one tank. So he's the only guy in America to have these at the moment. But Spectre is looking at other retailers to go to so he can sell these more frequently to different people around the world. Alright, with that out of the way, let's start from the front of the tank and work our way back. So this is the front of the tank here. The easiest way to tell is that at the back you've got these two slots here, and we'll come to that later about why they're there. But this at the front has a 20mm couplings. So to get this onto your barrel, you will need a 20mm coupler, and that just goes on nice like that. It's a bit of a friction fit. You can smash it on as hard as you want, but that is what goes on the front. That's the only way and the only receiver this tank takes. Unfortunately, a tip for the future for Spectre, I would love to see a 9/16 or 17/32 reamed out on the inside for all of us brass users. It just opens up the availability a bit more, and then we don't have to put on the 20mm and then single it down to the brass, which can be a bit of a handful. Trying to find the right materials to single it down and get a nice airtight seal as well, when we can just slap brass right on the front. That would be a recommendation there. But the 20mm is definitely something I can work with. Any experienced modder, which these are aimed at, should know how to single it down to a 17/32 size piece of brass. For me personally, the 20mm coupler isn't too bad because I'm starting to use aluminium a lot more in my builds and using it to make my breeches, so this is the perfect material to start using the alu as well. But for the brass people, it would be great to have that brass port reamed out on the inside. Moving on to the tank's construction, this tank is made out of complete aluminium. Every single piece of metal on here is made out of alu. The only thing that's not alu is the rubber O-ring seal at the back here and the Desperman rubber QEV seal on the inside. So the Desperman is just a bit stronger of a rubber, and it's not going to really bend under those high pressures which we will be running this at, which is great. That's the strength you want when we're running at the high PSIs and the velocities we're trying to get out of these tanks. As for the aesthetics, on the outside we've got this beautiful engraving of the Spectre logo, which looks fantastic. The outside is sandblasted on the tube, which looks really nice. Spectre himself actually got one polished up, so that one does look nice and shiny. It's as shiny as the front and the back. Moving to the back, this is where stuff gets really interesting and awesome for us modders. So as you can see, I've got my shifter here, and as I pointed out before, these two notches here are actually shifter or spanner grooves. So if I'm strong enough, I can untighten this here, and as you can see, the whole back cap comes completely off. So this tank is fully serviceable and fully maintainable, which is great for us modders as well. Just say something snuck into the tank or some dirt fell in there, you can take off the back, service it, and put it back into your blaster ready to use again. As for the Desperman rubber, that's it there, that's what goes on the inside, and this is the QEV seal. So very rookie understanding of how an XBZ works, but when air comes in, air will pass over the rubber on this outside bit here, pushing all the air into the outer rims of the tank. And then when we press our MVJ30 switch, this gets sucked back, dumping all the air through the tank, which is pretty much the basics of how an XBZ works as well. So yes, fully serviceable tank, easy to pull apart and easy to maintain as well, which is just a great thing for us. Now the O-ring is on the back so that no air is escaping via the thread at the back, and provides a really great seal as well. Spectre has since gotten in thicker O-rings for the tanks, and will be sending them out to all the XBZ tank owners as well, which is another great option for us if we wanted that high quality seal. If you guys have seen my How to HPA video, you would have seen the bit where I try to explain how to get your fitting onto the back of your XBZ. Now this tank is going to change that forever, because this is how you get a fitting onto the back of this XBZ tank. You get your fitting, and you screw it in, and you're done. This can now go onto your assembly. That is how easy this is. This has really revolutionized our air blaster stuff. This is a HPA ready tank. It's a plug and play job, which is so cool. So the thread at the back of this tank is a 1/8 pore NPSM thread, but this also lines up with the NPT thread as well. If you're not sure about what thread you need and you've picked up one of these tanks, just take it to your local fitting shop and they'll be able to sort you out for what you need. However, if you are going to run NPT, you will need a few wraps of plumbing's tape around there, just so it's a really nice airtight seal. Otherwise you will be leaking air at the back, and that just threads in like that, which is super great and super easy. So that's pretty much the whole tank covered, and I know what you guys want to know is what FPS does it get and what can I really run this at. To be honest, the sky's the limit with this. Spectre has run this at 90 PSI and finger banged the trigger as fast as he could to really put the tank through its paces. It got a little bit warm, but it was still pumping out 90 PSI pressures about 3 times a second, which is insane for an air blaster. This will quite easily handle 150 PSI, but that is ridiculous territory for us, that you will be getting insane FPS with that. If not, you'll be blowing your heads off your darts. All you need to run this at is normal XBZ pressures. So pretty much this tank will handle any PSI you throw at it. So I could say you can run this at 150 FPS at about 40 PSI, or if you want to get 300 FPS, chuck it up to 70 PSI and you'll be getting 300. It all depends on your blaster and your setup. I can't really definitively show you FPS readings with this because it all depends how you tune your blaster and how you tune the tank to run as well. But I will be giving you some chrono testing. So I got 2 tanks. This is the one I've been showing for the review, but this one here is on the setup which you'll be using the tank with. So this is the setup from the long strike. This is my air in, which comes to my plunger valve here, which then comes up to my tank. So it works exactly the same as the plastic XBZ, just a whole lot easier now that it's metal and I can literally screw it in. As you can see, this is my other tank here, and I can just take this tank off with the push fit, and if I want to slap this tank on, I can. And that tank is now on, ready to go. That's how simple it is to swap these out into blasters. It is really cool. And that's pretty much it, guys. So let's go outside and see what FPS I can achieve. Now before I go outside, I will say I'm running my HPA bottle. This is a setup I've finished recently. I'll be going through my setup in a different video. It's not complete yet, and I want to go over it when the bottle is complete. But besides that, let's head outside. Running this tank at 60 PSI for this testing, so see what we can get out. I'll go get my chronograph and we'll see what this is getting at 60 psi. Booting up the chronograph now. This has 4 fresh batteries. Tank is running at the same 60 FPS, 60 psi, sorry, and I'm just using Blastertech V1 Vibray darts. So gonna run 6 shots over at 60 FPS, so see what we can get. 216. This also depends on how fast I press the valve to dump the air, so expect some variance. 277. I press that one a little bit faster. 234. Also depends on dart fit as well. 196, that was a bad press on my end. I'll try and dump the air a little bit faster. 256. Last dart, this one should be pretty good. It was quite loose in the barrel. 234. Alright, very, very good FPS. Perfect NIC tank. Tank's performing great. You can pump up the FPS higher to see what you want to get. I might pump it up to 90 to see what we can do. Alright, this is now at 80 psi. Now I don't want to put it up any higher because my fittings may not handle this high psi, and I really don't want to explode my fittings, so let's try this one out. 285. $262. And our last one, 302. There we go, over 300 FPS at 80 psi. So there we go, guys, some great FPS readings out of this blaster. You could definitely run this at an NIC and surprise people. I think I might actually. That would be quite funny to run around with just a naked skeletonal air blaster thing. This was just a little piece of 18mm alu. I think it's about 30 centimeters long, so nothing crazy. To get 302 FPS out of it is pretty cool. Now, running anything at really high PSI like I was, 80 PSI is definitely where you kind of want to come back a little bit. That's really on the high end and the sharp end. You've got to think about your push fits at that point, and also your hose, as well as your fittings and connections as well, to make sure they can handle the PSI you want to pump out of the tank. But that all depends on your build and how you want to set it up. And that brings us to the end of the review, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If this doesn't get you keen for the Air Blaster Master Race, I don't know what does. This is the next level for Nerf. You can have your metal flywheel cages, you can have your metal gears, but this is a METAL XBZ tank, and this is the definition of power. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to catch up with me when I'm not making videos, check out my Facebook, Instagram, and Discord in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.